Hello, everybody. This is Coach Aaron Saft, and normally I would say welcome to the MR Running Pains podcast, but I have rebranded. I've got a new logo, a new website, a new everything. It's called Running is Life. It represents my coaching and my podcast much better than MR Running Pains, and I'm going to talk about that a lot more after the episode. So stay tuned after the episode. I'll get into a little bit more about the rebranding, but I think it more important and more vital and more respectful to talk about my guest, Lauren Jones. I got to see and meet Lauren at Western States. We had followed each other on Strava and social media, but never really, I don't think we'd ever met in person. So after her finish, which was amazing, and that's what we're going to talk about, I wanted to get Lauren on the podcast to talk to her about her Western States experience. So my conversation here will be with Lauren about not only her Western States experience, but everything that she's done in running to get to this point. So I really enjoyed talking with Lauren. She's such a joy to talk to. I hope you guys enjoy the conversation. And again, I'll pop on after our conversation and talk more about everything else that's going on in the Running is Life world. So enjoy this conversation with Lauren Jones. Here I am with Lauren Jones. I really, again, thank you, Lauren, for taking the time. She's on vacation in California. So thank you so much for joining me.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for having me.
So Lauren just finished Western States a little over a week ago. But before we get into all that, Lauren, why don't you kind of introduce yourself? Tell us a little bit about you and where you come from and what your background and what you do, all that good stuff.
Okay, my name's Lauren. I grew up in Douglasville, Georgia, so like the suburbs of Atlanta. I have been there for a while. Lived in Chattanooga for grad school, lived in Baltimore for a couple years, and then back for at least 10 or 12 years now in Atlanta. I am a pediatric nurse anesthetist. If you can spell that, I'm proud of you. But basically, I put kids to sleep at the hospital in Atlanta. That is my job. I've been running probably 10 years now, maybe altogether. Hard to say exactly.
Yeah.
Doing ultras for probably 7 or 8 years. I am engaged to my fiance Tim, who's on vacation with me now. And he has a 12-year-old daughter, so I have a 12-year-old stepdaughter. She's at summer camp for the month.
Oh wow.
Yeah, that's our little life.
That's wonderful. Absolutely wonderful. Yeah. Ultra sign up has your first results from 2015. So looks like about 8 years. And in that time, you've done some really cool races. Longest one to date looked like Cocodona, 250.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
Longest race to date. Yeah.
Yeah. Tell us a little bit about Cocodona. Give us the brief on Cocodona.
It's awesome. So definitely highly recommend it. If you like the desert, which I do, I love Arizona and the desert and everything. It was I wanted to do a long attempt of a race. And that one just lined up perfectly. It was fun to watch the live stream from the year previous. So I did the second year of the race. And I really wanted to find a long race to do. Got super into live stream and just decided to go for it. I had done an FKT attempt previously. That was about 280 miles. Didn't finish the FKT. But it got me really interested. Just on the Pinhoti Trail.
Oh, okay.
I wanted to do the entire Pinhoti.
Gotcha.
Pulled the plug at 280 out of 350, so not quite there.
Gotcha.
But it made me really interested in the really long multi-day stuff. And so I thought a race would be an easy way to have logistics already in place. Because that was the thing that I really failed at in the FKT was figuring out logistics and how to do that. And so yeah, went to Cocodona and it was incredible. It was a really cool experience. Ended up being able to do really well there, which was really fun. But it was just an entirely different experience when there are aid stations and race logistics. There's live streaming and live tracking and all that stuff. Just a very different experience for my self-supported or self-made kind of FKT attempt with crew and stuff, but still it's very different. It was really, really awesome. I met Annie Hughes at a 100 miler I did earlier in the year at Coldwater Rumble. And then she also did Cocodona, obviously. And so we had chatted quite a bit before the race and stuff, and then chatted like during and after Cocodona a lot. And she was awesome and really cool and fun to chase. I was nowhere near her, but to try to like keep up and catch up with her was really fun. Um, so yeah, it was just a really cool experience.
Absolutely. And in her own modest way, she was second. So Lauren was second at Cocodona. That was awesome. Fantastic. So what led you into running and trail running and ultra running? How did that all come about?
Um, Good question. I started running with a friend of mine that I met up in Baltimore, and I did a half marathon with her. And I thought that was crazy and really long and absolutely insane, and I would never do a marathon. Um, and I did my first half marathon and I absolutely like loved it. And so then I started like really actually getting into running. Did a marathon and decided it wasn't crazy long. I thought maybe I could do something longer, and that's how I found trail running. Because that's where you get all the longer things. And as soon as I made the switch from roads to trails, it was done. That's where I wanted to be. So yeah, never looked back.
Right on. And was that while you were still in Baltimore that you learned about the trails and
No, that was all here in Atlanta when I
in
got back
Atlanta?
to
Okay.
Atlanta. Yeah.
Very nice. Yeah, they've got a good community there.
Yeah.
Awesome. That's fantastic. Very supportive. When did Western states start coming into the picture for you?
Pretty immediately when I found out about trail running, it was like one of the first things I learned about. Um, just kind of getting the magazines like Trail Runner, Ultra Running magazines. Of course, everybody reads Born to Run, all the things.
Sure.
So it was on my radar pretty immediately, but I just thought it was like something that I would never get to try. It was just like way above my level of where I was doing. And I was just hoping to finish this local 50K. Um, and so I've always followed it, always been like, thought it was really awesome. And been trying to qualify. It took me 7 years to qualify. But year after year, you watch the lottery go by, you don't get in. And so I just assumed I wasn't gonna ever get in, and which was fine. It was still fun to like chase qualifiers and go to cool places to do fun races and just like dream about getting in. Um,
Talk about lottery day. Where were you? What were you doing when you
yeah.
heard?
I was not paying attention to lottery at all. We were down in Savannah over actually at Tybee Island for my fiance Tim's birthday. It was that weekend. And we had just like played around on the beach and we're at this like horrible like dive bar drinking Bloody Marys from a styrofoam cup, like the only people in the bar. And all of a sudden my phone blew up and I was like, what is happening? And I was like, oh my gosh, somebody must have gotten into Western States. One of my friends must have gotten in. And I looked at my phone and I was like, I got it into Western States. It's me. It was like, oh my God, like it hadn't even like dawned on me that that was possible. And I also happened to have a broken leg at the time and was on an e scooter. So,
Jeez.
yeah. So I was like, of course, the year I get in is when my leg's broken. Not even a little bit paying attention to it all.
Oh my
So
goodness.
that was kind of cool. We got to cheers with our little Bloody Mary styrofoam cups, and that was really exciting.
How long into the broken bone were you? How much more did you have to go before you were healed?
I was getting close to being non-weight bearing, or I broke it during No Business 100 last year, so that was
Okay.
like mid-October. So this was early December, so a couple more weeks before I could start putting weight on it.
Yeah.
Um, which I'd never broken a bone before, and so I didn't realize how much muscle you lose, and the rehab was really involved and tough
Yeah.
after that.
What did that look like, the rehab process?
It was just like learning to put weight on it again, which was really painful. Surprisingly, I didn't realize how painful that would be. And then I just wasn't able to flex my foot at all. I couldn't really walk for a long time. So it was a couple, like 3 or 4 more weeks of like walking with crutches as support and like working on much specific like muscle exercises for all the supporting muscles to get them back in shape.
And
And
that
then I,
was, okay, I'm sorry.
oh, it's okay. So that was late December, early January when I was starting to do that.
That's what I was going to ask.
Um, yeah, okay. And I didn't really get to start even trying to run until like February.
Okay. Okay. Um, and then, so you're probably going to continue PT through February, even March, right? To
Yeah.
continue. Yeah. And was that like how many days a week were you doing PT?
I went to PT twice a week, but I was doing exercises daily at home.
Good.
So it's a lot of work on the Bosu ball and bands and all kinds of stuff.
Right on. Were you able to cross train at all during that time?
Once I could put weight on it, I could. I couldn't even swim or do anything until that time. And it turned out I don't like swimming. It's not for me. It's terrible. And then I could finally get on the bike once I was able to put weight on my leg. And that even felt really hard and painful. But at least it was like something to get my heart rate up and get some kind of movement. But yeah, it was very slow. It felt like
Yeah.
a really
Well,
long time.
I imagine having you know, the knowledge that you were going to do Western States, you had plenty of motivation to do your PT and do your due diligence and be a part of your rehab. So that's, you know, that's awesome that you had that. Not that you wouldn't have done it otherwise, but I'm sure it was a dangling carrot.
For sure. It was a big, scary uh, thing lingering overhead that, you know, you can't give up Western States. This is like your one shot, you know.
Yep,
So
absolutely. Now you also worked with a coach for your training for Western States. Had you been working with a coach prior to your injury, or was that just something that you picked up for Western States?
no, I'd worked with a coach previously. I worked with Nicole Monette, who is Pat Regan's business partner. And we'd been working together for about a year or so before I broke my leg. And then she kind of helped me. She's also a physical therapist, which is helpful. um, I was able to help me kind of like do a lot of the rehab and stuff too, and kind of ease me back into it all.
That's fantastic. It's nice to have
Yeah,
that resource. That's great.
yeah,
Um,
for sure.
and how was the build for Western States? What did that look like for you?
It was not a great training block. I did not, it didn't go great. Um, it was really slow to get back into it. It took a long time before I could run without limping, and just kind of altering my gait quite a bit. And then when I finally did get a little bit more into like regular rhythm, then I got COVID for the first time.
Oh,
It
geez.
completely knocked me out.
Oh my gosh.
That was like a 2 week period of like I just couldn't really do much of anything.
And when was that?
Um,
Like what time frame?
um, Probably like March, early
Okay.
March
So
maybe.
you're just getting back into kind of training and you get knocked down with COVID. Oh,
Yeah, yeah.
goodness.
And then after that, I felt pretty good. Had some good training in there. And then I had this pain in my right leg. I'd broken my left leg, had a pain in my right leg, and I thought for sure I had a stress fracture or something. And so I went into like full panic mode. This is about a month before Western States, 4 or 5 weeks, full panic mode. Like went to my doctor, got an MRI. Turns out everything is fine. I was just a big wimp, but like totally freaked out. So it was like a week down of not doing anything to not aggravate whatever it was. That was like really painful. Still don't know, some tight muscle, I'm sure. But it didn't really get better until like the week before the race.
Oh my gosh.
And so it finally started to feel better, and I didn't feel it at all during the race, which is great.
That's awesome.
So yeah, it was just a lot of like ups and downs, and not a
Yeah.
smooth training block at all,
Sure.
but
Yeah.
it worked.
It's rare that they go smooth.
Yeah.
Um, well, so leading up, you're having conversations with your coach. Talk about what those conversations were like. What was the outlook for Western States? What were you guys planning? What were your goals, and what was the race strategy?
Um, yeah, it's good. So was really lucky. I had two people because Nicole was my coach, who got me in really good shape previously. But then I also had the resource of Pat, who just knows Western States inside and out. And so we talked quite a bit about the course itself because I'd never been on any of the trails out there. I had never really researched the race that in depth because I never thought I'd get in. And so it was like a really great to have both resources there that like really helped me get in shape and then really helped me understand how to run the race was really nice. Um, my main goal was like don't DNF Western States, like at all costs. Try not to break a bone again this time because this is my first race back after breaking my leg during the race.
How
So
did you
like
break your leg during the race?
I was just running and fell super awkwardly and
Oh,
snapped my ankle.
oh,
Yeah, I
yeah.
heard it
Bad
snap.
luck.
I'll do it
Oh,
immediately. Yeah, just really clumsy and awkward.
oh,
So I was like, goal one, don't break any bones. Goal two, don't DNF. And then beyond that, I really wanted to go sub 24 and get the silver buckle
mhm.
and then just deal with the day and like do as good as or whatever as I could after that. But those were kind of the main goals.
Yeah.
Um, and then I didn't know, had no idea how I would feel after like not running that much for very long. The competition was like huge and stacked.
Absolutely.
It was such
Yeah.
a crazy field.
Yep.
So I was just trying to like take my mind out of competing. You know, this is not a race where you can like be in your normal competitive kind of place. And so this is more about just the experience and finishing and trying to do as well as you can. Trying
Yep.
not to feel terrible all day, that kind of stuff. Um, and yeah, that was kind of the main thing. And it was really great having the strategy because I just didn't understand the course itself. Like you start off with the escarpment and all the high country, which was super snowy this year. And then just having the ideas of like, oh, I should change shoes, which is not something I ever really consider for a race. I just usually start with what I'm in and just keep going.
Yep.
So
Did
that
you
was really
swap out at
great.
Robinson?
I did, yeah. And I felt like a whole new person after I got new shoes. It was great. um, yeah, they were really, really helpful and made me feel like a lot more confident going in that I at least had some idea of what to expect or what to
Yeah.
do.
Good. Cool. We'll talk about the race itself in a second, but let's talk about the kind of the week leading up because there's so much that goes on that week and there's so much energy. How did you deal with all that? When did you guys get in, and what did your week look like leading up to the race?
Yeah, it was busy. It was a cool week. So we got in on Monday before the race. We flew into Reno and just stayed there overnight because our flight landed really late, like 11 p.m.
Mhm.
And then we stayed in a casino. Just happened to find that was the room we found. And I won $48 on the slot machines for my first attempt ever. And then made our way down to Tahoe. And we actually stayed at Olympic Valley in the resort there
Nice.
on Tuesday night. And I was expecting to walk in and just be like Western States fanfare everywhere. But like it was Tuesday, so it's still early and there was nothing set up at all. And it was a little underwhelming. And I was like, oh, okay, well, that's okay. And then we had an Airbnb for our whole group starting on Wednesday through the following Monday. So then we went to Truckee where our Airbnb was, and we had a very big house of people. There was 11 of us in the
Wow.
house, which just felt like very busy and stressful at times.
Yeah.
But it ended up being really great and really, really fun.
Okay.
I wouldn't have changed that experience at all. It was really cool.
So talk about those 11 people. Who were they, and what were their roles?
So it was me and Mike Ritchie, who's also from Atlanta, who was running the race.
Oh, okay.
He had his buddy James, who was his crew and pacer as well. And then I have brought a huge group, which is not usually how I go to races, but everybody wants to go to Western States.
Of course.
So,
Of course. Yeah.
so I had Tim, my fiance, and then I had his brother Phil and my buddy Eli, where they were actually my crew at Cocodona. And so brought that crew back together.
Nice.
And then I added in my brother and my two good girlfriends, Holly and Rebecca, who were my pacers as well. Um, yeah,
Excellent. Nice.
yeah,
Very cool. So you're over in Truckee, which isn't too far from the Olympic Valley. It's what, like a 15-minute drive or so?
yeah, 20 minutes, something like
20
that.
minutes.
It's not
Yeah.
far.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice. Very cool. It really it seemed like Thursdays when kind of things started to assimilate. Maybe they started setting up a little bit on Wednesday, but it's really Thursday where things started to happen. So how close did you stay in proximity to Olympic Valley? Did you visit? What were you doing in those days leading up?
Yeah, I wanted to be a part of everything. I was like kept getting warned by my coaches and Tim and everybody was like, you can't do everything. You have to relax at some point. I'm like, but I don't want to miss anything, you know. I'd never been out to the race. I'd never experienced any of it
Sure.
and just wanted to see it all. But we ended up going to a happy hour and meet and greet kind of thing that was hosted on Wednesday evening,
Hmm.
which ended up being really fun. It was at the little coffee shop there in Olympic Valley. And walk in and like immediately get welcomed by Dylan Bowman, which is just like a voice and a face you've always seen and
Yes.
heard, you know,
Yeah.
but like
Yeah.
never met.
Right.
And then you just look around the room and it's every single famous person that has anything to do with the running world, all in one room right there together and just like accessible and talking and chatty. And that was really cool. It was really
That's cool.
fun.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that is cool. Yeah. Side story. Dylan Bowman was running down from Roby Point when I was going up. And so,
Oh, nice.
of course I recognized him and he's like, legendary, bro. It's so funny. Like just to see him. I talked about that on my podcast when I talked about the race, but it was just so funny to see him coming down. And then, yeah, you get the voice right away. You're just like, oh, there it is.
Yep, that's who it is. Yep, that's
That's
really cool.
hysterical. So that would be I had to go pick up my wife and son at the airport that night. Otherwise, I wanted to attend that as well. That looked like it would have been a lot of fun. So, very cool Wednesday night getting to rub elbows with everybody. Did that make you more excited, more nervous, more calm? What kind of state did that put you in seeing all those people?
A little bit of all of it. It
Yeah.
definitely made me more excited that it was like, okay, the race stuff is happening. It's starting to like kick off. That was exciting. It also made me feel like a fish out of water. Like this is so big and this is so beyond like my abilities and like all the things. Like I didn't
Oh,
feel like I belonged at all. And so it's kind of that, it's just such big names and such big people and such a big event. So it was like made me really nervous, but also kind of made me just like chill out a little because there's nothing you can do. Like this is the world's biggest like stage and biggest competition. It's like, well, of course you're not gonna like I don't know. I always get really competitive, and so it's like it was easy to a little chill out about it because I'm not going to beat Courtney Dauwalter. I'm not going to beat Keely Henninger. I'm not going to beat Camille here, and like this is not in the cards, and so it's just like just chill and relax and have your day.
yeah.
So.
Yeah. That's cool. So going home that night, what were your thoughts going home that night? Like, how are you gonna handle Thursday? Because as you said, Thursday was even a bigger day. There was like so many activities going on. So,
Yeah.
what were you thinking Wednesday night?
I was just like a kid on Christmas Eve, just waiting. I just could not wait to get back out there on Thursday. We had all the whole house and signed up, and we all did the Hoka group run on Thursday
Hmm.
morning. So that was like a really fun way to get the day started off.
And that's where we saw
And
each
so,
other.
yep, exactly. And then we just kind of stayed around for a while and just like just try to walk around and see all the things and experience everything. But yeah, I was like just beyond excited to get there and see more people coming in and see the actual stuff happening, like getting to run a little bit because I hadn't run that early in the week really. So getting a little bit of nerves out with the little run was nice too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good. Did you do any race prep on Thursday? Anything that you took care of that on Thursday?
Yeah, I got some stuff ready. I put some like little bags of gels and stuff together, labeled for each aid station,
Mhm.
that my crew would be at.
Yep.
Packed up my pack and I didn't there's not a ton to get ready really because I use all the nutrition stuff that they have on course, which is really convenient. So it's mainly just a little bag of some extra shoes and some clothes to change into and some extra hydration and fuel and stuff.
Okay.
But it feels good to get it all like your outfit laid out, your pack laid out, make sure you've got everything together.
Yep. Yep.
It just
Yeah.
takes those race nerves off.
That's right. That's right. Um, and then Friday was packet pickup. So talk about packet pickup because I know you had a pretty emotional experience.
I did. Oh my gosh, it all kind of hit. There's a rabbit run, another group run that we did right before, and then went to packet pickup from that. And I was just the same emotions of just being really excited. And then I think just standing in line for packet pickup, I was right behind Casey Lichtig.
Hmm.
So we chatted with her for a bit. She was really sweet and really fun, and made our way in. And I wasn't expecting to feel like emotional or anything. They gave me my bib. I got my little picture, and then you go around to this other table and they put your yellow armband on. That's like your race band. And I don't know, it was like all hit me at one time. Like, this is actually happening. I'm actually here. I'm actually running this. And I just like started sobbing and like couldn't control it.
Oh,
It was just like I was so excited and so happy to get to be here and experiencing this. Yeah. And then every time everybody looked at me, everybody was like, "Oh, you okay?" And it makes you just cry even more. So I'm trying to walk around. I have my little book bag where they're like loading up all the goodies and
yep.
treats, and I'm just like, "Thank you," and just sobbing and crying. And then I started feeling silly because I was crying, and it made me cry more,
Oh.
But it was. I'm actually still wearing it. I still have it on. Yeah, that was really cool. I think I'd been living in fear of like I had this, I broke my leg during a race, didn't get to finish that, which I was a race that I was like really excited about. Was having a really good day, and then that was like taken away. A vacation right afterwards had been taken away because my leg was broken, couldn't go on. There was like so many things that I felt like I missed out on because of it, and I still like didn't believe I was actually gonna get to like come and experience Western States. I thought somehow like the weeks leading up to, I was like, something's gonna happen and I'm not gonna get to go. I don't know what it was. And it was just like this feeling that I had, like it's gonna be taken away from me somehow. And to like get there and have the band put on was like, no, this is actually you are getting to do this. This is actually happening. So it was just kind of all that release at the same
Yeah.
time.
Because you had not, aside from starting no business, you hadn't raced since Cocodona. Is that correct?
Correct. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Gotcha. Um, is that something that you typically do? You don't race much before your goal race?
I have gone back and forth. When I first started trail running, I used to sign up for like a race every month and just wanted to do everything,
Of course.
And then you're constantly either tapering or recovering. And so then I figured out, I think once I finally got a little bit more serious about it and got a coach and stuff, I realized that it's a little smarter to have like a build and have a goal race. And, you can use races as good training runs too, for sure. But it's smarter for goal races to like not race all the way around it. Yeah, I've kind of leaned down how many races I do a year.
Heard of. And what was your biggest effort going into Western States? What was your longest effort?
I went down to Florida with my Holly and Rebecca, my two pacers, and we did a 50-mile run, just self-supported on the Florida Trail down there.
Cool.
That was my longest, yeah, and that felt pretty good. I felt great,
Nice.
that whole time.
Awesome. Very cool. So now you've got your bib, your bracelets strapped on. Have you ever experienced anything like, I mean, I know Western States is very you know, it's a very, I don't know what you want to call it, but it's it's not like any other race, aside from like I've experienced like UTMB,
Yeah,
which is a huge grand scale. But what would be the next biggest thing? Would it be Cocodona? Would that be the like next biggest thing you've done?
yeah, definitely Cocodona, which was still the same experience of looking around and seeing all these famous people, like I'm
Yeah.
in line to get my bid behind Jason Koop. I'm like, oh my God. But it was still not the same scale as Western States was. It still felt different. So yeah, that was definitely the next closest. I will say, even though Western is such the big thing that it is, there's something really noisy over there. I'm sorry if that's loud.
That's okay.
Um, they still manage to have like a really small town or like small old school feel to it, which I
Yeah.
think is really impressive. Um, it's such a massive thing, but it still somehow feels like a local race almost.
Yeah, yeah, and I think we often forget, like you were saying, is like that the elites they're promoted so much at Western States. We forget that there's probably another 350-ish, just average ordinary Joes that are racing, But yeah, they definitely call out the elites, and because of podcasts and articles and everything that comes out, it's like it seems the focal point because it is a very competitive race. But we have to remember that there's a ton of other just normal average people just, going out there to, get to the finish line. Which, I got to see a lot of those firsthand due to my day.
Yeah.
But, it was, and that was, amazing usually I don't have that, experience, but it was amazing to watch some of these folks, really just trying to get through the race, which was cool.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
so Friday night, what did Friday night look like for you?
So that's where I just like turn into a mess. The
Oh,
pre-race nerves just like kill me. I just want to get started, you know. I hate
yeah,
the waiting to start.
yeah,
So I mean, I felt good. I was like, I had the best crew of people around me that were so positive and happy, and like it was a fun vibe in the house. And there was enough people that there was so much distraction. I wasn't just sitting and like thinking about this race starting.
yeah.
That was happening plenty, but it was also there was another distraction too, which is nice. But yeah, just I tried to go to bed early. I don't think it really helped or worked. But it's just all the pre-race. You just start getting like little butterflies, and I always just feel like so wound up and um, just anticipating everything, not knowing how
Yeah.
the day's gonna go, just
Yep.
hoping it goes well, you know,
Right.
all those
Yep.
things.
Totally. Right on. So, what was wake up time for you?
What time did we get up? 2:30.
Woo.
2 or 2:30. I panic, and I had this really bad experience with the Pinhoti 100
Okay.
a couple years ago. I was with my siblings; they were my crew, and I have a twin sister and two other brothers. And we stayed at the finish line because it's a point to point 100 miler. And so we
Right.
stayed at the finish, and we're driving to the start in the morning, and it was a total chaos on the way. We
Oh,
lost gear out of the back of the car, had
oh
to go
no.
find it. It was dark. One
Jeez.
of the roads, the exit was closed. We almost didn't get there
Oh
in
my gosh.
time for the race. I like had to sprint from the car to the start line just to like start the race on time.
Oh
Didn't
gosh.
have any of my stuff with me. I had some stuff in my pack, but we were planning to have time at the start to like
Right.
prepare things. And so it was just total chaos. It was
Oh
a
my
really
gosh.
stressful morning. And so I didn't want that to happen again. So
Right.
I always show up very early to races because it just gives me a little more buffer time. So I wanted to be there by like 4. And then the race didn't start till 5. And so it
Right.
just gave plenty of time. And I
Good.
stay a lot closer to the start line now. So just trying to avoid all those things. But yeah, it was an early start time. But being from on the West Coast, it didn't feel as early as
Right.
it probably did to other people. It was like a 5:30 start, which is usually when I get up anyway. So that felt fine.
Yeah. So, it was fun being in the corral. Like, I saw Holly off to the side, and she had just as big of a grin as you. Has Holly done Western?
She's not, no.
But is it in her goals?
Yeah, she's been applying. She's got her name in there. She got to run 20 miles of it with me, which is fun.
Yeah, yeah.
So
We'll talk about those. We'll get there. That's because it was really nice to see, just not only your two interactions. Like, I just kept looking around and seeing the some folks were definitely nervous, and but you could see like how much it meant for all pretty much everyone to be standing there, which was cool. It was just a amazing environment, because I think all of us had just gratuity in our hearts for the fact that we're standing there. So what's going through your mind as we're getting to the final countdown and the start's about to happen?
yeah, I think you kind of nailed it. Just like so grateful that I was healthy and had made it and nothing had happened. I was actually standing here. This was actually gonna happen.
Right.
I was like just full of tears and emotions and like all happy, good emotions.
Yeah.
But like every time I stopped and thought about it, I was just like crying.
Oh,
I like just was so incredibly happy and so grateful to be there and to get to experience this. I just couldn't
yeah.
believe it that this was actually happening. It still is crazy to me that it happened. Yeah, I was full of emotions, like super nervous, just not sure, that
Yeah.
first climb in the snow, I didn't know what to expect. So I was just very nervous to get those first 15 or so miles out of the way.
Yeah. Well, let's
Um,
let's let's jump into that. the escarpment is our first obstacle, right? To climb up. We hit the snow pretty quickly. So talk about your climb up. How'd that go?
It was so much harder than I thought it would be. Like immediately started. You don't get too far in. There's some really steep sections.
Mhm.
And it's just like a slow way to start a race. But it was fine. I was cruising. I saw you up there. You were crushing that climb.
Climbs
It
aren't
was
my
fun to
problem.
see. uh, Pat was up there. He was like halfway up. That was really fun to get a big giant hug from him.
Yeah.
That felt like a really good little boost because that was already like, oh my gosh, this is hard.
Yeah, yeah. That's some of
And
those
already
snow
kind of getting
sections.
like overwhelmed. And then the snow started happening, and apparently I don't know how to do snow at all. Being from Georgia, we just don't have any.
What were
Yeah,
you
the
wearing for
escarpment.
shoes? What did you wear for shoes?
I wear Sauconys
Mhm.
usually, and
Okay.
so I had the Peregrines, which are
Okay.
like their big beefy grippy shoe,
Hmm.
which is one of my favorite shoes. Um, but I guess snow and ice is just a whole different beast.
Was it able to shed, or did it pack the snow into your tread?
It shed the
It did.
snow for
Good.
sure. It just wasn't. I'm sure grip on snow is just that's why they make
Yeah.
spikes,
Oh
I
yeah,
guess.
it's I mean, yeah, I don't think there was a shoe out there that could have helped. Like I mean,
Yeah,
there's shoes that didn't help. Like I
right.
unfortunately I got to see Camille, but I mean,
Yeah,
that was like she was wearing those Lululemons, and I was just like, why would you wear those?
why? Yeah.
Like you're already gonna have a problem in the snow. But yeah, so yeah, the climb up. I mean, did you get to turn around and see the sunrise?
Yeah, I've been told so many times to turn around and see the sunrise. So I didn't get my phone out because it was buried in like a Ziploc bag in my pack. But I was just trying to I figured other people are going to take pictures. I'll just steal their pictures. But I turned around a bunch and it was absolutely gorgeous. And
Yeah,
it was crazy how fast Olympic Valley is just like way down there and how
right.
high you get
Yeah.
so quick.
Oh yeah.
But
Did you
yeah,
feel the
just watching
difference in the altitude?
I could, I could even feel it the few days leading up, which was surprising to me because I've done Leadville and have been out there several times to train and do different stuff. And I usually do just fine as long as I stay under 10,000 feet. It's the above 10,000 that gets me.
Yeah.
But I was feeling the altitude at Western, which I didn't expect at all. I thought that
Did
would
you?
be fine because you don't go above, I don't think you go above
Nine.
9.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right
Um,
on.
yeah, it was surprising. But yeah,
Yeah.
that view back, looking over at the valley and the lake and everything,
Yeah.
that was
That's
really cool.
yeah. And
Yeah.
the just the people tunnel at the top, when you get to the summit. Oh my gosh. It was so cool. It was like I almost wanted to get through there just because of how loud it was. But
It was so loud.
yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. That was cool though. And then you get over to the top and now we're in the high country, right? So that's our next section. So take us through the high country. How'd that go?
Yeah, it started off great because you made it through the little tunnel, the people tunnel at the top of the
Hmm.
escarpment, and
Yeah.
then it went on to some trails that were like not snowy for a brief minute, and I was like, "Oh, this is great! This is gonna be fun." And then you immediately drop into the trees and get snow, and it was a very rude awakening. I was not prepared, not like I don't know how you train for that if you don't have access to snow.
Yeah.
But I was slipping and sliding everywhere. I fell like 20 or 30 times at least. Um,
Oh my gosh.
by towards the end I started figuring out that like it was better to sit and like slide down some of
Right.
the
Yeah.
inclines.
Yeah.
And I figured out how to like kind of skate down on your feet a little bit from time to time. So I was
That's
getting
yep.
better at it. Yeah,
Yep.
I didn't know the word for it. Um, I was getting better at it, but I definitely wasn't. I was very slow and clumsy and kept falling. And I just remember looking around and just seeing, like, trying to spot where the flags and where the course were. And in my field of vision, like the entire way, there's just people slipping and sliding and like bowling balling other people down. And I just like laughed and like talked to some other guy that was near me. And I was like, this is total chaos. And we just like cracked up laughing. I'm like, oh, well, like
Yep.
luckily it's so early in the race that you're not in a negative place or anything yet. At least
Right.
I wasn't. And so you can kind of roll with the punches a little easier. And it
Yeah.
was just like, well, we're all doing this together. I looked down and there's Camille, like just falling, and I couldn't help her because I could barely stand up. I felt
Yeah.
bad.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, we're all doing the same thing. If Camille's down there, I'm struggling. We're all struggling. So we just got to keep moving,
Yeah.
and just hopefully it'll be over at some point. But yeah,
Right.
that was a struggle.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah. For sure. I hear you. But once we got kind of the Duncan Canyon, the snow pretty much dissipated. Little bit on our way back up to Robinson Flat, but how were you feeling at that point? Because you could definitely run a little bit more at that point.
I felt like total garbage.
Yeah.
It was like the climate, the escarpment, the high country and the snow, the altitude was really bothering me. I just never, such a long time of just never getting into a rhythm. And so I just never like got there and was just really struggling. And that was weighing on me. So mentally, I was not feeling great. Physically, I wasn't feeling great. And I was in a pretty dark place by Duncan Canyon, and it was really
Oh,
early. And so then that got me more frustrated because I was like, this is Western States. You have to be happy. Like, you can't be negative. You can't be sad during Western States, like this is your one chance. And so I was like beating myself up for not being excited, but then also not feeling good. And so I was not in a good place.
understood. Yeah, I was feeling about the same. My legs just didn't want to run, which was super frustrating. Um, but we got into Robin's Flat. You came in right behind me, and you got to your crew. Talk about that interchange there, because that was our first time we got to see them. So how did that go?
Yeah, that was a big relief to see crew. They were all there and excited and happy. And I went behind the tape and sat down. I was going to change my shoes there. But as soon as I saw everybody, I just like lost it. I was
Oh,
just a big ball of tears apparently all weekend. But I was just like, this is so hard, just feeling sorry for myself. They did a good job of like getting me in and out. I think I spent 3 or 4 minutes there, got
yeah,
shoes changed, new socks and stuff, and
yep,
got reloaded up. So it was just it's a very brief interaction, but like a lot happened. It was really good to see everybody. I was really looking forward to the long downhill after that to just kind of regroup, and so I just they gave me a really good pep talk and were like, it's okay, you're doing fine. I'm like, I think they're lying to me, but whatever, just gotta keep moving. So they kicked me out, and then that next section, the downhill all the way down to the canyons, that was nice. I definitely felt like I regrouped a bit there.
oh good,
I
yeah,
still wasn't totally mentally out of it, but physically I was feeling better, especially as we descended out of the altitude. Physically was feeling a lot better as we got lower and lower.
I did not. Like, it just
Oh
stayed,
no.
consistently crappy for
Oh no.
24 hours. It just stayed bad. So, I mean, I'm glad you got out of it, because it was, I mean, on the other hand, though, mentally, I didn't get negative. I didn't get frustrated. I just was like, this is my day. Like, this is the reality. So,
Yeah.
but I mean, yeah, it's just kind of running down, and then we get to the canyons there. Um, what were your thoughts going into the canyons?
I was terrified of the canyons. I didn't know how bad that was going to be and how hot it was going to be with the fire exposure and just how steep and tough. So I'd been kind of like worried about the canyons leading up to the race. But I was also like looking forward to getting there and like checking that off the list. You have like the big hardest climb first. Like, okay, just do it and check it off, done. So there was um it was a little bit mixed emotions. I still wasn't feeling great. That climb up to Devil's Thumb is rough.
Yeah, for sure.
It
Oh
was
my
really
goodness.
rough.
Yeah.
I was right back into my major low point once I got to the top of that. I actually called Tim on my phone leaving Devil's Thumb on my way to Michigan Bluff and called him, and I was just again crying because that
Mhm.
was my day. And I was like, I'm doing so terrible. I feel terrible. I was like, I'm having an awful day. And, it wasn't, there was no way you could make me drop, but I was like, just sad to like see goals go out the window and stuff. At that point, I was well behind 24-hour pace. And just like wasn't feeling like I was going to be able to make that time up at all.
I
It
hear
was
you.
just kind of grieving that loss a little bit. And yeah, I was in a really bad place. So he likes to play these games where he doesn't like entertain me talking to him on the phone, and he's like, "Okay, you'll be fine," and he like hangs up.
Oh,
Because it's like he knows if I like talk about it and get emotional that I'll get in a worse place.
yeah.
But if sometimes it's good just to like voice it out loud and then like let it go. And then I can like dig myself back out. Which is what works, and
Yeah.
he's done it in the past. And it definitely does work, but I still was not in a good place by Michigan Bluff. I came in there in like the lowest point I'd been.
Really?
Um,
Yeah.
yeah.
About the same for me. Uh,
Yeah.
but then your crew was there at Michigan Bluff, right?
They were there. I came in and I thought I was just doing absolutely horribly and like really behind pace. And I saw Heather Jackson limping in because she hurt her ankle, I believe. I saw Camille laying in a chair there, covered up with a blanket. So we did the same thing. They were really great. And I just needed to re up on fuel and hydration and get out of there. But Pat was there, and Tim had already kind of warned him, like, she's in a really bad place. So I feel like I got like the expert pep talk from Pat there, and it was just what I needed. Like, um, I said all the same things. I was like, it's just like a lot harder than I thought it was going to be. And his reaction was like, well, yeah, of course it's hard. He's like, why do you think this is the biggest, most important race in North America? And I was like, these are good points. That's true. And he's like, this is where you have to get gritty. And I was like, yeah, I can get gritty. And so I left there and I was like, okay, you will cry baby. I was like really um beating myself up for being like so weak, I felt. And so I left there, and it was actually a really nice section between Michigan Bluff to Forest Hill.
It
It
was.
was a lot better. Yeah, it was great. So I kind of regrouped and like was like, get your shit together,
Yeah.
get it going.
Yeah.
And I did, and I don't know what exactly happened. If it was just like mentally knowing when I got to Forest Hill, I had 30 something miles left, not 40 something, not 50 something. I was picking up a pacer at Forest Hill, all the things. I think I finally just like beat myself up enough to like, you know, snap out of it. And I showed up to Forest Hill. Holly was my pacer there, and she had come back on Bath Road a bit to meet me before that. And I felt like an entirely new person. I was happy. I was excited for the next section. That was when I finally was mentally in the game and was like ready to like start having a day.
Yeah.
um, but yeah, before that, it was an awful day before that. And that was where I finally started like get myself in the game, get my mind in the game. And that was good.
Nice. Yeah. So you're picking up Holly at Forest Hill. So she's going to take you through the Cal Street sections. How close were you to nighttime at this part?
We still had at least an hour or two. I forget exactly when. We didn't make it to the river in the daylight, but we were not too far from there. Um, yeah, but we picked her up. She was like so peppy and happy, and she was just like the most happy, like bubbly person, which is like perfect for what you need when you're feeling low. And we've run together so much that I think that's like really important for a pacer is just someone that you feel is like fully comfortable with. And like she's seen me really low on just runs that we do together. She's seen me really high. Like we've had tons of runs and experience together. So you can like read each other, which is really nice. She was really great company. I didn't have enough energy to like really chat a whole lot myself, which she was like able to deal with and be okay with. But we had a really fun time. She was just kind of catching me up with what was happening with the crew and like all the cool famous people she'd seen all day and just the experience that they had, which makes me feel better when I know my crew's having a good time. It takes so much weight off of me that I'm not stressed about them.
Yeah.
So that was really fun, and I felt like we were kind of finally able to run a little bit and trying to make some good time. We cruised through a couple of aid stations, just not really needing anything, and just started to feel a lot better through that section for sure. And then our goal was to like, okay, let's see if we can like start passing some people now. It's like you've gotten through the really hard parts of the race, and now this is the place where we start. Can we race? If you can race, let's race, and like let's try to pick us some people off. Um, so we did pass some people heading down to the river, which is really fun.
Oh, nice. That's so you got through the Cal Street sections pretty unscathed. It sounds like you're actually doing much better. So you get to Rucky Chucky. Were your crew at Rucky Chucky, or did they meet you at Green Gate?
They were at Green Gate.
They're at Green Gate. Okay. So
Yeah.
you basically got to Rucky Chucky. Did you hit the aid station at all?
Nope, we cruised right through the aid station. I didn't really need anything, and I had crew right at Green Gate, so cruised through there. We had just passed several people. So then we were like making a game out of it.
Mhm.
Like how many people can we pass? And she was like really charging up and like really like firing me up to do that kind of stuff. So then we got down to the river and she's like, okay, we just passed those people. Let's get in the boat before they get down there so they can't get in our same boat and, like get a lead on them. So we go down there. The boat was so much fun. I was like, this is awesome. We're in Rucky Chucky. We're in a boat. I finally was like experiencing Western States, that
Yep.
day for
Yeah.
the day, and that was really fun. And one of my friends was volunteering there, so I got to see her briefly and give her a hug real fast before heading out of there. Um, that was really fun and just like such a major boost. Like crossing the river was such a boost and such an iconic part of the race. And such a milestone to get done and past you.
Mhm. Yeah.
That was like it just gave me so much energy. I was really excited then, and I thought the climb up to Green Gate was going to be terrible, and it wasn't. We were able to like hike it pretty strongly.
Nice.
So that felt really nice, even running some sections. Um, yeah, and we got to Green Gate, and my other pacer met us partway down, Rebecca, and she was going to take me from Green Gate to the finish. We did like a little pacer swap there.
Yeah.
Um, but my crew's great. They got me in and out. Like I never spent more than 2 or 3 minutes at aid stations,
Fantastic.
which is great. They
Yeah.
did a good job.
Nice. Nice. And the Green Gate, I actually really enjoyed that, well, I really wasn't awake from Green Gate to Auburn Lakes because I was zombie walking, but that last piece of the course, I really enjoyed that. I thought that you were in a different time. I got daylight, so I got to see a lot of stuff.
Oh yeah, yeah.
But that was actually a really beautiful part of the course. I'm actually glad I got to see it in daylight. But what was your experience from there? Like, take us from Green Gate to well, let's go to Howell Corners aid station.
Yeah. So I kind of forgotten at that point. It was like late in the race, and I kind of forgot where the aid stations were anymore. I had a little list on my pack, but it was dark, and I was just too tired to
Yeah.
like dig around and get it. And so we're like, I think there's aid stations like every couple miles, but we kind of forgot that aid station existed. But Rebecca was really great and like was really good at pushing me and like really trying to get me to run the best that I could.
Like,
Like her focus was like she really wanted me to just like have the best day I could and
yeah.
like have and she's like, I want you to have a day you're proud of, even though
How were
like
you doing
I
on 24
couldn't.
hour pace?
I was starting to creep up closer to achieving it.
Cool.
We had made up some time. I think though I was almost an hour behind 24-hour pace around Michigan Bluff area.
Okay.
And by Green Gate, I was like within 20 minutes
Wow.
of
Nice.
24-hour pace. So
Yeah.
I was
You
making up
really
some
made it up
time.
to Cal Street. That's pretty incredible.
Yeah. And so Rebecca was like, which is hilarious because she doesn't wear a running watch. She's like, do you trust me? And I was like, yes. She was like, okay, just do what I do, and we're gonna get you under 24-hour pace. And I was like, okay, that sounds good. You can be there. But which she did a remarkable job of without even wearing a watch. I don't know how she does it. But yeah, she kept me honest with my pace and kept checking in to make sure like, are you good? We kept a really good strong pace. We ended up passing a lot of girls through that section. One of which we kept leapfrogging with. But we're just feeling really good and had some of the miles felt faster than what my watch was telling me they were. But it was a really fun single track section. I can imagine it was really pretty in the daytime.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
it seemed like it was really, really pretty in there. Those were great trails.
Nice. So you got into Howell's aid station there, which name of it's escaping me at the moment, but it's the third to last aid station. So the
Quarry
one,
Road, maybe.
what was it? I'm sorry.
Quarry Road, maybe.
Um, Not in the big meadow, not that one. The one before
Yeah,
that.
the one before
Um,
it. I forget the name.
yeah, I forget the name. Anyway, I'm sorry. Sorry, everybody. They're probably screaming at you right now.
Everybody
You
knows
idiot.
it.
But anyway, did you recognize Hal and Scott Jurek with that? Yeah.
Yeah, immediately. I totally forgot that they do that aid station, and that was like really cool. And Hal just seemed like the nicest person ever. I mean, they both did. And they were like really excited. They were like, "You're 15 minutes up on 24-hour pace. You got to go." And I was like, "Okay, we're going."
That's
And
awesome.
so they were like really encouraging and really excited, and they you could tell they were like having a good time out there.
Oh,
And so that was fun, and it just gave us a little excitement. Okay, like we're making progress. We're like under 24-hour pace. We just have to keep it. And so that was really exciting because I think you're maybe 15 miles from the end at that point.
yes.
Um,
Yeah.
and so that was okay. I was like, if we can keep this pace up, if we can do this, we're gonna make it. Um,
Pointed Rocks, right? Or
yeah,
no.
and then Pointed
Is it the one
Rocks.
before Pointed Rocks?
They were the one before Pointed Rocks.
Pointed Rocks. Okay. I'm trying to
Yeah.
look for it right now as you were
Oh,
talking.
nice.
Um,
Yeah, I
I think
totally
you're right.
forget. Um, and they were just like making sure you don't miss that turn that I think the
Yes.
famous turn that Jim
Right. Yes. Yeah,
missed a couple
which
years
was
ago.
very well marked.
It was very well marked. It was great, but we were like, don't miss the turn.
Yeah.
Um,
Right.
but yeah, that was great. I was still able to climb really well, and so I was the climbs were actually nice because my legs were just they start to get tired of the downhills and the running, you know.
Mhm.
And so that climb up to Pointed Rocks was really strong. And my Rebecca is already an incredible climber, and so just trying to keep up and follow her up those climbs was really great. It was making us do like incredible time. Just zooming past some people. Um, she was like playing games with some. She was like, okay. She's like, you need to eat a gel right now because we're gonna go past these people, and like you have to run past them really strong, and then keep running past them so they see your headlight going, so they don't think. So just like breaking it all down into like little chunks and just making it exciting and like a game. Um,
Nice.
we had a really good time in there. And then so we were coming up to Pointed Rocks, and we were about to pass another girl. We actually passed her as we entered the aid station. But we had already done a check-in. I didn't really need anything at the aid station. There's so much aid on the course. You don't necessarily need stuff at every one of them, which is great. And so we just planned to blow right through there. Um,
Your
and
crew wasn't
so
there.
they were not there. We were worried about the time getting from Pointed Rocks to Roby Point. And so we decided, since I have a pacer and there's aid, we didn't need crew there.
Cool.
Just to make sure that they had time to get to the finish and get up to Roby Point. Um, that was really cool. I had finally seen Roby Point. You see it on the live stream every year.
Yeah.
And it's just like, oh, we're here. We blasted through there and passed the girl right then, and she saw us blast through. So then she started chasing us down. And then we're like racing, we're like 5 miles from the end, like legit racing this girl. And then we passed three other girls between Roby and the No Hands Bridge.
Wow.
And so that was really fun to just like be racing. It was like motivating. It got me like working hard and like trying to get there. You're not just like slogging the miles out, but you're like,
Yep.
it's exciting.
That's cool.
So we passed the third or fourth girl right as we got on Williams Bridge. And so she was like, don't look back. We just have to run. And at that point, it's doable. It's like 3 more miles. Right?
Yep.
And so it's like you can keep the effort up.
Right.
And so we were just running kind of scared. And she would look over and see like headlights coming, but we didn't know if that was like boys or girls or like who it was, I don't know their headlights. And so we like charged up Roby Point, like just ran really quick. And I was like, just let everybody know that we're not stopping at Roby. We're just running right through it, So she's texting the crew while we're running and climbing. And so they're all there waiting. And that was just like such a cool place to finally get across the bridge up to Roby Point, which is all you could possibly imagine getting to, for all these
Yes.
months leading up to it. And I
Yep.
was like, we're at Roby Point. And then it just kept going up. It just never
Yeah.
stopped going up. I was like, oh, I didn't realize how much more up there was. But it felt so good. I dropped my pack. I gave it to my crew and was just able to run without anything on me. It felt like freeing and great. Um, and we were just trying to keep a pace, just trying to keep headlights from chasing us in the back. And so it was fun to kind of have that experience going all the way down to the track.
Yeah.
And then getting there and like finally actually making that turn on that track was absolutely incredible. And I was like bawling my eyes out again, but this time like happy, good tears. Like I actually made it. It was really cool. I just tried to like soak it in and just like watch everything and see it all. And yeah, I don't know. I still can't believe I got to do that. I still can't
Yeah.
believe I got to run down the track and to that finish line. Um, and then I was well under 24 hours, and that felt really good. So
That's incredible.
I didn't see like earlier on the math that was working out in my trail math. I couldn't see a world finishing under 26 hours, and then to make it in there under 24 it felt really good. It felt
That's
nice.
tremendous. Yeah. That's incredible. That's so great. Yeah. So sub 24, you were 18th female, is that right?
Yeah,
Yeah. Which top 20. That's incredible
I'll
performance,
take
Lauren.
it.
That's,
Oh, thanks.
yeah.
Thanks.
That's such a what an amazing story, especially for how the day started. You went through a lot of lows, came through them, and that's oh man, such a great accomplishment. So, um, did was Nicole there or no?
No, she wasn't able to come. Pat was there. Yeah,
Yeah,
obviously, you
obviously.
know that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. So what was that conversation like with Nicole? Did you talk to her soon thereafter?
Yeah, we texted pretty immediately. Then we talked on the phone afterwards. Pat took some pictures and sent them to her, and she was just like so happy and proud. And she had actually, I had my phone on airplane mode and in my pack and didn't look at it for a while. But she had texted me like through that last stretch, like watching the tracker. I was like, come on, like cheering me on. It was like sweet. But yeah, she was nothing but excited and proud and happy. It was really, really sweet.
Fantastic. That's fantastic. Congratulations again.
Thank
Um,
you.
what else is on the bucket list for you?
Well, I'm going back to no business. Uh, gotta get a little redemption there. Um, and still trying to figure out the plans for after that. I mean, I have tons of stuff I want to do. I really want to go back and do some longer stuff. I really like the multi-day kind of efforts. It's just
Mhm.
unique and very different.
Yeah.
So I'm probably doing Tahoe 200 next
Okay.
year.
Wow.
Um,
Cool.
and I'll probably take a stab back at the FKT that I didn't finish either.
Sure.
So
Very cool.
um,
Very cool.
yeah, and then after that, we're getting married in July next year, and so I promised I would get.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I promised to get all my racing done before that, and then take a break later in the year.
Fantastic. Fantastic. Any folks you want to thank? I mean, you had, a ton of people supporting you. So do you want to thank anybody?
Yeah, my obviously my whole crew, they were absolutely incredible. You know, Tim, Holly, Rebecca, Eli, Phil, my brother Taylor, and Jessica, his girlfriend. They were incredible. Having Mike also racing and staying in the house was just a really cool experience to get to share.
How did Mike do?
Um, he did great. He finished 27 hours, I think.
Right on.
I think he had a better, like felt better during the day than I did. I think he had a more enjoyable experience.
Very nice.
And his pacer James was really awesome to meet and get to know. I was just really thankful that our house was such a cool experience. I don't think you could recreate what we had. So thank you guys for making that a cool experience. And then obviously to Nicole, my coach, and to Pat for all the help. I wouldn't have been here without their help for sure. It was really cool. They were
That's
awesome.
tremendous. And if you're comfortable and people want to connect with you, how can they do so?
I'm on Instagram and Facebook. Lauren dot runs dot for grilled cheese. It's kind of a long one, but
I'll put in the show notes if people want
yeah,
to
there you
follow
go.
along. Are
That's
you on
probably the
Strava as
easiest.
well?
I am, yeah.
All right, I'll put those in the show notes. Well, that's amazing. Anything we didn't cover or anything you want to say before we wrap up?
Um, No, I don't think so. Just it was a really cool experience, and thanks for having me to talk about it.
Absolutely, Lauren. Congratulations once again. That was awesome. So cool.
Thank you, you too.
Thank you again to Lauren for coming on the podcast, for being a part of this, and for being my first guest on the Running His Life podcast. Congratulations to her. She made it sub 24, incredible, especially after having a rough go at it for so long. So congratulations, Lauren. Wonderful, wonderful story. Thank you so much for sharing, and congratulations once again. It's just awesome. So as I was kind of saying at the beginning of the podcast, I have rebranded. I didn't really feel that MR Running Pains really was cohesive with who I am and what I do. I kind of get that negative connotation when I hear the word pain. And so running pains, it's just, it was more, I would say, more appropriate maybe when I was, RDing, when I race directed, because, we want our events to be hard and painful and suffering and all that, negative connotation that we can associate with racing at times. But it's not what I do for coaching, nor is it what I want to represent in coaching or in my podcasting. So I wanted to rebrand, and Ash Welsh, she did a wonderful job with helping me. She is kind of a marketing at Wolf Peak, and she totally redid my logo, my website, everything. So you can see the new website, runningislife.run. mrrunningpains.com will forward you to runningislife.run. And you can see the new brand and what I'm up to. Hear from some of my athletes. A lot of testimonials on there from my athletes. You can connect with me on there, of course. You can check out old episodes of the podcast. We're linking my blog onto there. So a lot of different resources on there. So if you have a moment, jump on over to runningislife.run and check out the new one. I had this to say about running his life. Let's see here. Sorry, gotta find the. There we go. All right. So I said, running his life reflects what our sport teaches us. Through the trials, tribulations, and obstacles we overcome in running, we can reflect upon and apply these lessons in our daily lives and ultimately improve ourselves. So that's kind of the way I feel about running his life. Now, it is a spin-off, of course, from Ted Lasso. Ted Lasso, I think if you watch that show, it affects everybody differently, but it had a really good impact on me, especially as a coach. Danny, one of the characters on the show, he would say, football is life. And, it's just the joy that running brings. Can we bring that into our lives? The lessons we learn through running, the way that we overcome obstacles and solve problems and find patience. Can we apply those things to life? How can we represent ourselves better in life by using our running? So that's why we connect running is life to my coaching and podcasting. It's just a kind of a synopsis of what I'm trying to do. So welcome to the new brand, Running His Life. Really happy to see it. I love the logo. Ash, thank you so much for your work. I'll put a link to Ash and her services in the show notes. Because she did such a fantastic job, and she continues to do work. Obviously, I'm continuing to update logos and stuff, so if you still see the MR Running Pains logo out there, I just haven't had a chance to update something just yet. But so excited about this. It really feels much more at peace with it, and I feel so good about it. So I really appreciate her work and all it took to come to this place. So it's great. So thank you, Ash. Other things going on, So as we record this here, it's July 5th. This will release on July 6th. I've got Vermont 100 coming up in about 10 days. Quick turnaround from Western States to Vermont. And Thomas Brown, who was the podcast episode guest not too long ago, maybe 3 episodes back, Thomas and I will reconvene because Thomas finished Western States. I don't want to ruin his finish, but he did finish it, and we're going to talk about that, and we're going to talk about our preview for Vermont. because Thomas is also running Vermont. He did Old Dominion, Western States, and now going into Vermont, all 3 weeks apart, which is incredible. So we're going to talk to Thomas, and he'll be on next week. So next week's guest will be Thomas and I talking about his Western States experience and our preview of Vermont 100. So stay tuned for that. As far as coaching goes, I do have a few spots that have opened up. So if you're interested in having that conversation about coaching, feel free to reach out. Again, you can reach me through the website, runningislife.run. I'm going to put that in the show notes as well. So feel free to reach out there. So lots of stuff going on here, which is crazy, but so happy to have all of this going on and in place, and man, I just want to say once again also that I really appreciate everyone's support, comments, messages. My goodness, just overwhelmed with the reception. Of finishing Western States, and from my last podcast, I know I got really emotional. It just, it just speaks to how much I really cared about that race. Just so happy to have that finish. So thank you all for your comments, post my previous podcast. That was amazing, and so glad to put that out there, and I'm so glad it had the reception that it did. So thank you. Otherwise, just got back to running myself. It's good though. I threw on the heart rate strap just to make sure I wasn't going too hard. Just kind of staying controlled, staying mild, trying to keep the legs turning over and feeling okay, which I do. I'm glad. I'm glad to feel okay. So not too worse for wear after Western States, which I'm super happy about and glad to report. So back to running. You can check that out on Strava if you want to follow along and see this crazy journey that I'm on. Hop on Strava. A lot of folks ask me questions through there. That's great. I'm happy to answer questions on Strava. Happy to answer questions, through any platform. I get questions that filter in through Instagram, Facebook Messenger, however you want to contact me. That's completely fine. Happy to answer questions and glad to have those questions. So thank you. And again, thank you so much for all of your support. Other than that, my goodness, what else? I think that's enough for now. It's as I move through things here, we'll talk a little bit more about the rebranding, kind of each episode, kind of talking a little bit more about it. But, again, thank you, Ash, for all your work on this. Congratulations once again to Lauren. Just phenomenal finish. Congratulations to Thomas. Just so proud of you, man. What a phenomenal job he did. Once again, to you all, thank you. I continue to move forward. Keep moving forward. That's on the front page of my website. Keep moving forward. Love that saying. So, until next time, keep running, my friends.